Hey everyone, and welcome back to Anchor Watch, your weekly below deck chat, where we take over Up and Adam's channel to talk about the highest rated show on Bravo. In fact, this past week's episode got almost 800,000 views, which is insane, especially because a lot of people are criticizing the season as kind of not one of the best seasons that we've had in a while. I want to say it's probably one of the worst seasons of Below Deck I've ever seen. But I want to know what you guys are thinking in the live chat. So go ahead, let us know where you're watching from, and let me know what you rate this episode from 1 to 10. I know we get a lot of gymnastics scores in here. Also, we're running a little late today. Gelsey could not make it today. I don't know if you guys know this, but we used to perform together in Cirque du Soleil. Gelsey has had like 5 concussions, guys. So occasionally she gets these migraine attacks. I think she was even talking about it last week while we were on here. So I have a substitute, and I think you all might know who he is. So let's bring him up.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, guys. You thought it was
Thank you for doing this last minute.
What did they say? Don't call it a comeback. Call it a takeover. That's
jeez, Lord.
No, but
this ain't hot messy, girl. Like, okay. All right.
All kidding aside, though, I do. We love Gelsey. So Gelsey, I hope you feel better. And I also know like migraines are so debilitating. So just
horrible.
Sending love because Gelsey, like, she's just always inherently just like a happy, go-getting kind of person. So I'm sure for her this just sucks. So
I know, but at least thank you for this is so last minute. And you know, she was like, no, just wait until like 11:30 your time. I'll let you know if I can do it or not. So we were waiting. And she just didn't want to miss it. I'm like, Gelsey, you got to take care of yourself. Like, we can talk about this shitty episode of Below Deck without you. Don't worry.
And don't worry, Gelsey. There's going to be a lot of time. You're going to get to see all of these people at BravoCon. You're going to get to talk about the shows. And sometimes you kind of get a little bit of a reprieve by not talking shit about the shitty episodes, because when you put yourself in a situation like BravoCon, you think that these people don't listen, and then you're like, oh my God, hi, it's so nice to officially meet you. And they're like, oh, you're the one who said that about me. So we might be doing you a favor.
Yeah, you know what? No, but we never talk bad. I mean, listen, we love our Below Deck people. Even if they have kind of a bad episode or a bad season, we still love our Below Deck crew. I mean, they really are putting themselves out there. Do you remember when we were, I know we've told the story before, but when we were at the 2 T's in a pod party at BravoCon, and Kate Chastain came up and she's like, oh, Jason, Anchor Watch. And I'm like, what? I was like, who? How do you know me? How do you know me? You don't know me. Sure, you're a liar.
You have to be careful. It was actually Captain Sean, you guys, who Jason, I feel like totally set my ass up. But when we met up with him down in Boca, it was my first time meeting him. We were talking, having a good time. And I said, you know, like, people shouldn't just judge people before they know them. And he's like, I'm so happy that you just said that, because you went on and said I look like Gollum. And I was like, did I? And he's like, yeah, you want me to pull it up? And I was like, I'm so sorry.
God, he was waiting for that. I loved it.
Yeah.
All right, Adam, I got to ask you, what did you think about this week's episode? Because I know you've been on and off watching with me. Usually you like sit there and watch it with me, but kind of like, you know, doze in and out or whatever. But overall, since we haven't had you on, what are you thinking of the season? And what did you think about this episode?
I actually, you know, when they're saying it's the worst season ever, I truly, like, I've been watching the episodes with you. I feel like that's such a bold statement. I don't think that it's the worst cast or the worst season. I think that there have been a lot of interesting moments. I do think that there are a lot of try-hard moments where I can see some of the personalities are shifting and trying to really lean in. Like, I think that, and I feel like I can say this, you guys, I'm safe behind being a gay dude. But I feel like sometimes, like, when you have, like,
what way?
Like Fraser, you know, or Fraser or Kyle, like, when you have them come on and they really, really lean into the part of just trying to be like this kind of like a little like, you know, silly and bitchy, but like also like call me mother and like delivering the lines, I kind of read right through it. So I feel like I'm looking at it with a producer's cap of knowing exactly what you're trying to do here with like the one-liners and landing a meme. It truly, the best analogy or the best comparison I can give is like watching Heather Gay last season on The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City after her iconic line from the finale with Monica came out, like Proof Receipts timeline, she was trying so hard to make another one because it was plastered all over BravoCon, and she wanted that, you know?
So. Yeah, no, it was wild. Anyway, guys, I want to see what you guys are thinking in the live chat. Adam, if you could rate the episode 1 to 10.
I would give it a 6.
A 6? God, yeah, I would give it a 5, honestly.
I want to see what
you guys are saying. I'm loving this episode. This is Breakaway 34. And I love them all. I'm hooked. I rated a 7, says Marianne Stout. Rebecca gives it a 3. Tweety Tweet gives it a 3. Solid 6, a 7.5, a 7. So we're kind of mixed all over the place. A 4, a 9.2. Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
That's generous, but
that's very generous. That's like those are for the best episodes.
Let me just say too, and I'm going to try my best to you guys, because Jason said, this is not hot, messy topics, Adam, on your own channel. You come correct. And we treat it a different way. And we don't just
we're different people here on Anchor Watch, Adam. We're different here.
And I was
you gotta know that.
So you want me to suppress my emotions as a Cancer? You're telling me not to be who I am? Okay, sure. Let's try it. We'll play.
Guys, I just want to say, like last night when I was putting up a review for upandadamlive.com, by the way, go check it out. We have some great writers on there. Our writer from the UK just wrote a great recap for the Real Housewives of London. But I do have to say, I was reading some of the other recaps as well this morning, and everyone just kind of gave it like a 3, and it was, not much happened, but a lot happened in a small amount of time. So I want to talk about that. But
what do you want to happen in the first episode of a new show where you don't know the characters? The whole premise of the show.
I'm talking about Anchor Watch.
I thought you were talking about London. I was like, wait, no, you have to get to know these people. But okay,
no, it's not How Messy. We're not talking about Housewives.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We're talking about Below Deck. Okay, so I want to start with Fraser, because you did bring him up, and we were talking about this earlier because Fraser is not new to reality TV. We've talked about that before. Fraser, it's his, what is it now? What was he on, season 9, 10, 11? It's his fourth season. Is it fourth season? Third as a chief stew, I think.
Yeah, he's around for a second.
He's definitely, getting a lot of bad rap in the Reddit groups, online, on social media. People saying he's not managing his team. People are saying that he's micromanaging the kitchen too much instead of focusing on his actual team who has the problems, who are not doing their job. But it seems to me, and I asked Gelsey about this, we're big fans of Fraser here at Anchor Watch. We have been since day one. Love having our first gay chief stew, but we watch sometimes what happens when the ego gets a little big. But I noticed this episode, and I said this last week too, is Fraser's always flustered. Always. And sometimes when you're in that position, when you have a Kate Chastain or a Hannah Ferrier or whatever, they maintain this like calm demeanor, because if they're going crazy, the crew's going to go crazy. The guests are going to feel, when you're at a restaurant, everyone's like, oh, I got to deliver this drink to that table, and I have to go over here. It makes the guests sitting there just feel so anxious and overwhelmed for no reason. So I don't know if you noticed that at all.
Yeah. So I think that you used to say something that always landed with me, and it's one of those weird things that I never forgot in my head. But like when you were running Pump, you would always say like, it starts at the top, like the team, everything stems from like the top chain of command. And absolutely. I do think it's an art, like, let me just like give a comparison here. When I was at TomTom and wherever else working for Lisa, I was probably top 5 servers with highest sales, like running around like crazy. And I was doing the damn thing. I could never manage a team.
True story.
You know what I mean? But I couldn't manage a team. And I think that there's a certain art to that. Like to have those capabilities to be able to tell people what to do, and sort of like where you don't have to micromanage, but you get to sort of delegate. And sometimes there are people who try to put themselves in these managerial roles or like these roles of leadership, and they don't know how to delegate properly. So what they do is ultimately they take on all of the responsibility. They get themselves flustered, and that just bleeds through the rest of like the people the staff, And
absolutely.
I think for Fraser, I do feel like that's what he tries to do. I think that he tries to be like this great leader as a chief stew. I think he lacks a little bit on the delegating, and I think he takes on more, which makes him look flustered, which makes you look more unprofessional. just from the way that we see it on camera, because at the end of the day too, like the guests are not seeing this. So we're looking at it from
absolutely.
We're like Big Brother, you know?
Yeah, no, hey, that's very true. That's very true. Have you found too, because this is something I was talking about with Gelsey last week too. Do you think that for some reason Fraser is just so obsessed with what is going on in the kitchen? And I wonder if that's, from last season with Chef Anthony, if that's still something he worries about, but he's really paying attention to the kitchen. And yes, the chef and the chief stew need to have that communication at all times. Like that is a very, very important communication. We saw that break during Below Deck Down Under with Lara and Serena, and it just doesn't work if they're not communicating to make the guest needs happen, right? But do you feel like he's too focused on Chef Anthony? Let Chef Anthony just do him. If he has an issue or a problem, let him fall. But it seems like Fraser really wants to micromanage Anthony this season.
I think from a perspective of being in hospitality for a long time, I look at it from this viewpoint. You get in the weeds, you get flustered, and you sometimes take that out on the other people who are working around you, and the communication now becomes nil, or it becomes a little bit more disrespectful, like the way that you're saying things. Like if you saw the way that Rainbow talked to Chef yesterday, where she's like, I don't have time for this or whatever. And he's like, wait, what did you just say? And it's like, wait, no, you don't get to talk to me like that. But you get so flustered in these moments where you come off a little disrespectful. And I've been guilty of this too, you guys. We worked at Barney's in Chelsea in New York City. And there was one time where the food runner was running food out and missed my table and brought it to the wrong table. And I was like, what are you doing? This is the second time you did that. And I said, stop messing shit up. And I got so upset about it. And dude, literally, it was in the back room where you make the coffees. He dropped the plates and he was like, you don't get to talk to me like that. Like, we're going to fight. You want to throw down? I'll beat your... And it was like, oh my God, But it kind of like, it brings you back to the moment you realize you're talking to a human who's also trying to do their best, and we make mistakes. But when you're in the moment of trying to make sure that everything's perfect, and that was a job that paid my rent, I wasn't fighting for fame. So in his position, you're fighting to stay on a show. You're fighting to do your job correctly. You're fighting to keep the captain happy. So they pitch to make sure that you stay on the show. There's a lot of components here, which it puts a lot of weight on your shoulders. So
yes. And when it does come to Chef Anthony this episode, we see something we don't see very often. We usually see it on Below Deck Med because the weather is so unpredictable in the Med. The waters are so unpredictable in the Med. So you saw a lot of times on Below Deck Med where Sandy would have to keep in the yacht and not take it out and stay on dock. And this is the biggest disappointment ever. And it does put a lot of pressure on Chef Anthony. It puts a lot of pressure on him because now everyone's going to be focused on the service and the food. Not only this episode was the motor yacht St. David stuck at the dock because of an engine problem, you are hosting a group of restaurateurs and hospitality people. So this is the worst possible moment that you could have be stuck at the dock. This is the worst possible moment. All right. So I want to get into that, but you and I were talking about like, okay, what if this did happen? What if we went on a yacht charter and we're paying out, I don't know, close to 3 days. I don't know what 3 days would be. The weekly fee for this yacht, I think, is like $265,000 to charter it.
60.
So exactly. And then they get a little discount for doing the show, but you're still paying and you're still tipping. Now, they did still tip $19,000 after this whole crazy shenanigan of not going anywhere. And I did think the crew kind of made up for it a little bit, or did the best they could by doing like a sunset cruise. It did take a while to get the jet skis out and stuff. But what were you saying about like this, if this had happened? Because once you sign that charter, I know that you're kind of stuck. Like you cannot control the weather. However, this is a mechanical issue from the boat. So do you think they should have been compensated, or at least, hey, we can't leave. We're going to give you the opportunity to get off the boat and just get your money back? Do you think that's something that should have happened? Or
yeah, I think when the primary went up to Captain Carey and he was saying that, listen, the general consensus amongst the group is this wasn't the trip that we planned, and so they don't want to tip as much. So when you hear Captain Carey, he's like, that's not really fair to the staff. And being in that position, which so many people have been in, and you can just take this to a restaurant because so many of us have worked in restaurants. It's like if the kitchen is backed up or whatever, and I'm sitting there serving your table, making sure your drinks are filled and that I'm waiting for the food. I can't cook the food, so I shouldn't be punished for that. I'm doing everything to entertain you and make it right. And my livelihood kind of relies on these tips. That's the benefit of doing this job. So I get what Captain Carey is saying, and I don't think that this falls on the staff at all. And I actually do I feel bad for the chef because it really does. Now all eyes are on you. Like there's no diversion. There's no, oh my God, there's dolphins and this is so great. And we're out in here. It's like, no, now all we're paying attention to is the food, and you better have every Prosecco and drink that we want. Okay. But I don't think that this falls on the staff. I think when Captain Carey said this might ruin our charter season, that statement right there already says to me, well, if you're willing to cancel all of the other charters, if God forbid you can't get a part and something's wrong with the boat, then this charter should also be offered the same option of getting their money back and let them know, like, okay, well, you can either stay here and this is what we're going to do, or if you don't want to pay because we're having mechanical issues, then we understand and thank you so much for maybe next time. But you should have the option.
It was also a little difficult because they, what the mechanical issue happened at the beginning, and I think they anticipated that maybe they could get it fixed in time to leave the next day, and then that didn't happen either. But it is something that there is a position in yachting that we don't get to see on Below Deck that I wish they would kind of like do a spinoff of, or we could see it a little more. And it's the charter broker. It's the guy or girl who puts together the actual charter, who sells it, who manages everything. They're the ones who actually do the preference sheets. They're the ones who actually, well, there isn't really preference sheet meeting, but they do send out the preference sheets. They're the ones who actually order the provisions, anything they need for the parties and stuff like that. So this would have to go back on that. So it's just, the problem is Captain Carey has to be the one to answer to the guests. And it's just kind of, oh God, I would not want to be in that position.
Oh my God, I would die. But no, they're like your travel bookie or your travel expert. And they are the ones who collect all of the information. I get that. I have a huge I hate disappointing people. I hate delivering bad news because I couldn't even I wouldn't even be able to be a manager because I wouldn't be able to fire somebody. I would just be like, I'm so sorry, I'm taking away your livelihood, but you suck at your job. I couldn't do it. I don't like that. So I feel so bad for him. This is so uncomfortable. I almost wish the drunk woman who jumped off and she's like, wee, I'm a dolphin and I'm going to do whatever I want. I wish that the boat stayed still for them because these people were actually really cool,
Yeah.
And that moron should have been left at the dock. That way they wouldn't have had to call a tender to come pick her ass up. However, that's not what happened, So it's just
Becky in the live chat. Becky in the live chat says it sounded like the owner was going to give them a break on the fee, which they probably will. The staff went above and beyond. They should have been tipped better. I thought, honestly, I'm going to say I agree with that 100%. They didn't have to do as much, especially the exterior, team. But I did think, 19 grand. Yes, it's not the best for the 3-day charter. I mean, we've seen better tips this season, 22, 26,000. But for not going anywhere, I was like, yeah, I kind of expected that, know?
That's when I started to agree with Kyle when he was like, I'm kind of surprised. And that's where I teeter, I'm not surprised. Oh, rough, Kyle. Rough.
We're going to talk about him.
Oh God. And you want to get into the porn industry? Nobody.
That's what he said on Watch What Happens Live.
Well, yeah, that's what he said. Adult entertainment. That's going to weather you even more. You already no. Oh no, geez, Kyle, stay away from it. But no, I don't mean that in like a bad. I'm just saying no, stay away from it. And sunblock. Sunblock is important. Jason taught me that. But what I'm saying is going back to it. You threw me off with Kyle when he said, I wouldn't have tipped that's where I teeter, because I'm like, well, no, you do still tip because they're providing a service, and they ran around. He was trying to give you little sunset cruises. He was trying to take you out on the tenders, give you guys like the champagne, take care of things, make things fun. They still, now the job is actually even more hard for the staff. And I think that the people feel like that's not true. It is true, because now we have to divert the attention even more and entertain you. And this whole trip that you planned in your head, where you're going to go down, let's just say like even the Amalfi Coast or something like that, and we're out in the water and you see all of the things. Now you're just seeing us. So we have to be performing seals and entertain. That's a lot.
Oh yeah, you have to be at the top, and all the attention is going to be paid towards the details. These are hospitality people. These are restaurateurs. All right, since we brought Kyle up, I do want to bring talk about him a little bit. He's had an interesting season. I'm actually shocked that he came back this season at all. But Kyle had this issue last episode where Captain called him into the wheelhouse and asked if he potentially slept or inserted his tip into
that's disgusting,
into one of the guests, Helen, who was on last episode. And it was very uncomfortable. It was weird. He apologizes. He tells Captain Carey there's no way. Carey interviews every single crew member, and everyone's like, nah, I think he was just joking. He was just joking. Now I don't know what he's doing, because on Watch What Happens Live, he's like, did I not? And now he's doing that shit again, and it's not looking really good. And you know what's really funny too is you see Kyle. Let me try to find a good photo of Kyle. Here we go. We have Kyle, and I don't have a photo. Yeah, but I don't have a photo of his confessionals this season. But you know how they filmed their confessionals in LA way after the season? He looks rough. Like, I don't know what's going on. We've seen it happen to a few cast members, and it kind of sucks. But I
can tell.
What's your personal? What?
I was about to say I can answer all of these things.
Well, what's your personal opinion on Kyle? I don't think he's ever going to be back on Below Deck, because when you start playing with like what Captain Carey said last time too, when you start playing with like the guests' reputations and character, it gets a little weird. You know what I mean? Because now people probably in Helen's world are talking about like, well, did something happen or did something not? You know what I mean? Like, what do you think? What do you think is happening here? Because
I think the big mistake, I agree with Marianne Stout. I think that his career, I don't think his yachting career is over. And look, dude, you can go he said he didn't want to do OnlyFans. I think stick to OnlyFans, but he said he wanted to take it all the way and do more and more and more. And you obviously want to explore another career path. But at the point that you're sitting there and you're blatantly lying to the captain, and then you get drunk and you let your,
well, we don't know if he's lying. We don't know what happened, but he's keeping it as kind of like a, maybe it happened, maybe it didn't. And it's just like not something to play with too.
But the truth serum at the end that really upset Fraser, when Fraser stormed off, when he's like, I did something and I got away with it. Well, now you're claiming that it did happen again. So which one was it? And now if you lose your job, it's because you're a moron and you're the one who's sitting here and you're like, oh, I'm so sorry, Captain. I want to keep my job, and please, like, I need this money. And you know, like I didn't do anything. And then you're sitting at dinner with the same camera crew in your face, like as if they don't go back and talk to Captain Carey, or the staff doesn't talk, and you're not filming a TV show, and you're like, haha, got away with it. And you're like, wait, what? So the disrespect already is insanity. The liability now, with the fact that now with you being on a boat, a lot of married men and other people would not want their spouses to be on a boat.
It's the reputation of the boat. You know, all of these boats have these reputations for their charter programs, for their crew, for their captain. Like Motor Yacht Sienna, which Sean and I did a tour of for Up and Atom Channel 2. That's, I think, was on season 7 through 9, maybe even longer than that. Motor Yacht Sienna has turned into Motor Yacht Starship, and they're known for their charter program. They renovated a lot of the inside. They have a really great captain. And so when you see things like this, it's kind of like, yeah, it really does hurt the reputation of the boat. And why am I forgetting who said that? Captain Lee?
Said what?
Who said, guys, why am I blanking here? where he's like, take care of your reputation, the boat's reputation, and something else. I forgot. Anyway, you know what I mean?
I was gonna say, I think that being preached was always I now like you're striking a chord in me, because I feel like I've heard multiple captains say that, but I feel like it's always when they go out into town and they're representatives of the boat, you know? And so that's when they're like, F around and find out. Like, if you go out there and you embarrass us and you embarrass the boat, we're gonna have a big issue. And
yeah,
you are that it is. It's embarrassing. I wouldn't want my wife around you.
Don't embarrass the boat. Thank you, Summer.
It's don't embarrass the boat. Yeah. I think it's disrespectful. You blatantly, now I'm saying you blatantly lied, and you're saying we don't know, but you're the one, not you, but him. You're the one claiming that you lied. You're the one who's exclaiming out to the world, I got away with it. Haha.
I know. It's shitty. It's shitty. And that's, this whole season has been kind of shitty just with stuff like that. I feel like we're just watching a whole bunch of like Love Island / trashy things happen this season. I want to bring this up too, for all of those watching, and thank you guys for in there. Jill says, Captain Lee said, don't embarrass yourself, me, or the boat. Love that. I knew it was Captain Lee. Miss him for that, because I don't think anybody, as much as I do love Captain Carey, I don't think any of this shit would fly if Captain Lee were here. I think that everyone has a different way of having a leadership position. I think Carey is a great leader. I think he wants people to grow. I think he wants them to evolve. He wants to give them second chances, but Captain Lee never gave second chances.
Can I ask
He barely gave first chances. You can ask me anything you want.
Who do you
We're
think
married. I'm in a really good mood today. I don't know why.
I know. I just want to take you out back or something. So what I was going to ask you is, who do you think the softest captain is, as far as like the most? Because I would say Glenn probably.
Yeah, I would say Glenn too, but he had always had a strong team. You know what I mean? And they kind of really trusted each other, and sailing is different. I would say Glenn, followed by Carey.
Yeah.
Not that he's like bad or anything like that. I just think that he is a little softer than Jason or Captain Sandy.
I think that Jason has really come into it a little bit more as the time has gone, and Jason's more fun, because even if you guys watch like, and I'm sorry to bleed into this, but it's my world too, you guys. But like bleeding into like the Salt Lake City trailer and seeing him like, okay, guys, we're going to get you wet and then we're going to get you in the water. And it's like, he knows what he's leaning into it, which is, those are the little one-liners and the funny things that I can take. And it's an art to be able to deliver them. It's like a comedian, and there's like comedic timing, I feel. But with him, you can also see as the seasons progress, and with him being on Bravo, he's so heavily praised as like the hottest man on Bravo. And Captain Jason is a hot man, and he's the coolest guy ever. Jason and I have had great conversations with him.
He's also a presence in person as well.
He's a presence. My God, go to BravoCon, you guys. You see Captain Jason at BravoCon, every single woman, I don't care if they're married, if they're single, if they're whatever, they are fawning. I'm like, to be a straight man like Captain Jason, this is his Super Bowl, like everyone. So if you're single, it's great. And if I was his girlfriend and he wasn't single, I'd be like, you're not taking your ass to BravoCon.
Even Sheena.
Even like everybody. Well, Sheena and him are like, and Brock are best friends. But, he has evolved with the seasons, and he has gotten a harder exterior, and he's been a little bit more aggressive with F around, and you find out you don't do the job or you embarrass me and I will take you out. I feel like before he wasn't like that. He was a little bit more soft, but no, same thing with Captain Sandy. It got more and more over time, and Captain Lee, you could just tell he was just out of it. He was done. He was tired of it. He wanted to go home to his wife.
You know what? Yeah. And not, I think he would have continued if he could, but I think we had this discussion that when the captains come on to Below Deck, because they film things so far in advance, the captain is really the main role of Below Deck. That is the role we always keep. Kind of like having a chief stew or a really good chef, like Chef Ben, or having like a Kate Chastain, but they sign contracts for a longer period of time. So it's not like Housewives where like maybe you'll get picked up next season and you're going to have like another contract. They have like 3 to 4 year contracts. So when Lee was having all of these physical complications and stuff like that, because he's a very seasoned professional, but he's also, you know, it's okay for him to like be like, I did almost 10 seasons of this damn show. You know what I mean? It's okay to take a break. It's okay to like enjoy yourself and not put up with the kids. He would hate this crew. He would hate all of them.
Captain Lee, oh my God, you guys. I feel like I'm getting so annoyed. Like I'm annoying everybody with this. I'm just like the analogy.
Are we doing another housewife?
No, I'm giving, I need to make, if you guys have analogy ideas for merch, I just need to turn it into merch because I always have an analogy. But Captain Lee kind of reminds me of like a Bethany Frankel, or like somebody who's not the most attractive versus somebody who is really attractive. Somebody who's really attractive, they can wear a trash bag, walk out, people are still going to praise them. Somebody who's not as attractive, they have to do more. Now, if you watch Captain Lee on the show, he sits there with his radio. This is my Blue Me, not my radio. But you're sitting here with the radio, and he's like, cap, Kate, or whatever, and brings her in. And then he'll say like,
June, Hannah.
Yeah, June, Hannah. And he's like, like, you better get it together because I'm getting madder than a possum's asshole. And you deliver a line, and it's less interaction with the crew, everything, but you do less, and it feels like more. Same thing.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
She would do less, and it landed. And then there are other people who are, the little jokers, and they have to do more because they don't have the same effect. But that's what he was. And on his last season, I would just watch him, which, mind you, he's an older man. His family has been through a lot, especially with his son. His wife is at home. He's tired. He has health complications. And he would sit in his chair and just on his radio and tell everybody but at some point, yeah, you want a more interactive captain. Then you have Captain Jason, and they're like, take your shirt off and get in some skibbies. Like, okay.
Well, also, I like to see the captain kind of participate in, some of the activities. Like Captain Jason on Below Deck Down Under has taken some of the charter guests out for some great snorkeling adventures and stuff like that. Also, I love Down Under in the Seychelles. I thought that was so good. Okay, but we're getting off track. Okay. I just want to jump in really here. Let's finish on Kyle here. Kyle, as much as Solane is not everyone's favorite, and her behavior is honestly ridiculous this season as well. I think this is someone who we should see fired. What do we have, like 4 episodes left? They have 2 charters left. I don't think we're going to see her fired. I think that Fraser going on the press tour saying this is the most firings we're ever going to see in a season, I think that was all to get people to watch the show because they knew they had such a terrible season coming up. But Kyle does apologize. He's been like a tornado since day one. He's been redonkulous, but I was happy to see him kind of like, hey,
for her, she's a totally different person, like I look at her and I'm like, man, you are kissing everybody on the boat. You're all over the boat, but like, you're single, girl. I'm not sitting here shaming you for anything. That's not my cup of tea. I find that to be gross. I find people to be gross, and bodily fluids and all of the things are gross. I get grossed out by it. But like for her, you're running around and keeping us interested and entertained because you're creating these own personal relationship storylines and strife amongst the crew, which technically there's a price on that. Because when you start doing that, now by you just being this little messy thing, and this little minx that's going around, you are giving us a show. We're not getting rid of you. And then this episode, you even saw Rainbow, who was like, holy shit, the bitch finally does something. Oh my God. So it's like, now you're picking up the slack or the flack or whatever, and you're still creating strife, but you're doing more of your job and you're helping out Chef and taking out and doing things. We're not getting rid of her.
I know. You know what the biggest complaint this season, though, is it felt like this boat was Love Boat. This was Love Island. It felt like producers were really trying to make... I mean, listen, I'm so over the editing this season of Below Deck. It's like Kardashians. Like we talk about this all the time, Adam. On Keeping Up with the Kardashians, or what are they called now? Just Kardashians or whatever? What are they?
Kardashians.
The Kardashians. So, it's like... What's her name? Courtney is like eating a salad. She's like, hi, Mom. And she's like, hey, Courtney. And then it goes, and it's all this B-roll of like LA, and it's slow-mo. And like, we have these like crazy shots of things happening, but like nothing actually happened the whole episode. That's kind of how I feel watching Below Deck this season. I feel like this is a confused show. It's not about yachting or the people working on the boat with the guests. It's more about these interpersonal relationships. And a lot of people have been saying it's just too much sex. It really is. And you have all of these love triangles happening between Solenn, Kyle, Damo. I mean, we can name the whole freaking crew at this point. And I thought there was one great moment from Hugo, who's our newer bosun this season. He told Jess, it's like, you know, because Jess is like, oh, I slept with Barbara last night. But she was talking to Solenn and she was like, thanks for getting me out of that conversation. And Hugo's like, hey, you're in a leadership position. You should probably stay on your own bed and more or less mind your own business, you know? And Jess is someone who Gelsey and I really thought was going to take over the bosun position, and someone I really, really liked. And I'm slowly, and I hate saying this, losing respect for her on the show. I think she's a cool person. Follow her on social. She's pretty cool. But on the show, it's like, why are you in this mess? People respect you. People like you.
Well, because that's why Solenn is valuable, because that's what she does.
And well, I don't think Solenn's valuable at all. I think that she was totally miscast. And I think whatever's happening with 51 Minds, who produces the show, I don't know what was going through their head. Who approved this?
Well, here's the thing, too. You have to think, this doesn't just apply to Below Deck. This actually applies to Housewives as well. It's moderation in all aspects of your life. It doesn't matter what you eat, how you work out, how you drink, how you whatever. They always say moderation is key, right? And for this, it was an overstimulation of just X-rated material of people just hooking up all the... It's like, it's okay. What are we watching? And when Jason says it's like Love Boat, I get it. You know, so it seems like you need more moderation for this show. I don't actually, watching the show, it's weird because I feel like Jason and I watch these shows from different perspectives, you guys. Like, just being friends with so many people, and that sounds so stupid. Sounds like I'm an asshole. But being friends with people who film the shows and like this is their job, there's a little bit more of a different insight and like a peek behind the curtain. And you know, when people are filming a show, just like Juliet, who just recently said on The Real Housewives of London, when they used to film Ladies of London, there would be so many moments where the producers would be like, okay, guys, this is boring. You guys need to do something. Now, this new one, The Real Housewives of London, not Ladies of London, but The Real Housewives of London, they don't have those moments because there are so many moments that it's like, now we have to fit this into an episode. But when you don't have that interesting content, the content that's going to drive ratings and the ads, get the ads that you're promising, because it, at the end of the day, is a business, what you start to do is you find fillers. And when you find fillers, that's B-roll. When you start adding B-roll, if you have that mindset and that kind of perspective, you can see right through it. And that's what Jason's saying, if you guys aren't really familiar with that.
Yeah, no, that's totally true. We watch it from different angles, but I just don't know what's happening this season. It's just
B-roll.
It's not the same Below Deck. Yeah, exactly. You know, we talked about the whole I think it was the second charter with the gay porn stars. Remember? Or not, they weren't all gay, excuse me. One was straight and had a gay husband on camera for the porn. Different story, different thing. But
yeah, but that was
I think they thought, because they were on the boat for like 5 days. It was like a very, very long charter. And it was like, I expected them to be on a whole nother episode, but they quickly just fast forwarded through a lot of that because I don't think they were getting what they wanted. I think they thought it would be crazier than it actually was. And they're like, this actually isn't working. Well, you know?
Right. Do you know how many episodes exactly there are in Below Deck?
It depends. So I'm thinking we're getting 16 because we just finished 12, 13, 14, another charter, 15, 16, another charter, and the goodbyes. I'm pretty sure it's going to be 16 this season. Okay. Although I think it says somewhere, I know it, but yeah, I just can't remember if it's 16 or 17.
No, yeah, I just looked it up. They said it's on an average between 13 and 17. Okay. So so there's so much content that you can pull from charter guests and stuff. And I understand where you have to have filler moments. it really is a testament to your season. And me watching this, I can watch Below Deck, you guys, because I sit there on my phone. I'm sitting there like last night. I was like, Jason, Larsa Pippen is following me and this person. And I'm like, oh my God, look at all of the things that are happening. And he's like, I'm trying to watch the show. And I said, nothing's happening. Like B-roll is happening. But
well, I mean, there were the first 36 minutes. I even clocked into my notes. The first 36 minutes, I'm like, it's 36 minutes in and nothing has really, like, I don't know what we're doing. But I feel like we were just watching B-roll.
That's what I mean. Like Real Housewives of Miami, you guys, I didn't pick up my phone once. I couldn't even take notes. I did not want to stop watching. So that is the difference.
Absolutely not. Yeah.
That's the difference in you creating a show, you know, like not every Broadway show or play that you go to is going to be the same. Sometimes you're going to walk out of Matilda halfway through, you know?
Yeah, like Adam. Don't take Adam to a musical ever. I can tell you that that's just, it's not good. You made it through one musical, Something Rotten. Remember that musical?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
you made it through and that. Tom. Yeah, Tom.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, very, very interesting. Okay, there was one more thing I wanted to bring up because we've been talking about it a lot. My brain is so fried from watching this show over and over again. I do want to get your opinion really quick on Chef Anthony, because Chef Anthony has kind of had a redemption season. We've been hinted at a lot that he's going to flip his shit. We saw him flip his shit a little bit. I don't think it's going to get very far, but I don't think you watched last season. He had a really rough season, but I think this season he's had a huge redemption.
No, I did watch, and I think sitting there watching him, you know, when he's sitting there saying, I'm working 16, 17-hour days, and he's, you know, like he's stuck in the kitchen. You guys have to also, it's almost like an experience, right? So when you're trying to think about what somebody's going through, I always think about like the elements. So you're in a kitchen, you're in this tiny room, it's small, it's hot as hell, everything's cooking, the oven's going, you have steam coming out of like the guy is probably sweating his ass off. He's the one who has to prep everything, defrost everything. And then you're working 16,
well, especially when you have a charter like this, where, I mean, you are everything. There is nothing else happening this charter, just your food.
You don't have a sous chef, right? So you have to keep going. That's human. Like the guy is putting out amazing food. People like his food. The presentation, I feel like, is great. I mean, I'm not a yachty, so I don't know. And apparently they say yachties, like it's such a disrespectful term. I think that's stupid. But like,
who says that?
It was on Hannah Ferrier's season. But you sit there and I think it was actually Malia. But yeah, it was Malia. Malia was the one who said, don't call me a yachty. It's like,
what are we supposed to call you, girl?
It's like calling an actor an actress if you're a female actor. You're a female actor and you're like, I'm not an actress. I'm an actor. And it's like, oh my God, okay, whatever. You knew what I meant. Doesn't matter. But you're sitting there and you're watching the guy. He has no help back there. Then people also are under a lot of pressure. So then they're not really communicating with him effectively. Instead, they're coming down and they're passing through, like he's like the pass, like the subway station to get to where you're going. They're barking orders at him, telling him what they want. Every time somebody comes down, it's not really to help. Usually it's usually just to like give a new command or bark an order. And at some point,
it's been Fraser trying to stay on top of him, micromanage him. And I look at it from two ways. I'm looking at it like, leave him the fuck alone and focus on Solan, who can't do shit. Or I'm looking at it on a way of, okay, Fraser just worried from last season what happened. He doesn't want it to happen again, you know?
No, that's not your job. Who gives a shit? That's not your job. It is
their job. No, it is their job.
No, hold on.
No, it's not Fraser's job to make sure, but then the communication has to be there.
Because I'm looking at it like for Fraser, it's like, yes, you might be worried about that, but that's not your job. That's not your job. He is the head of his own department. So you don't get to micromanage. What you do is this is a collaborative situation. You are not his boss. So if you have that sort of internal whatever, like I need to start micromanaging, that's exactly the reason why it makes you less of a leader, because instead of delegating and understanding and trusting the staff that's put in place in order to make everything go off without a hitch and make it an incredible charter season and get you guys all of this money, all of it, you are now sitting there micromanaging. And when you're micromanaging somebody who's the head of a different department, how annoying is that? And at the end of the day,
I mean, I find it annoying.
Just like when he's running around, he's like, oh. you know, and it's like, he reminds me of like some of your staff at Pump. Jason had this, guys, some of his servers, I would sit there and watch. I would take, like, I would get off TomTom. I would go to Pump. I would see Jason's servers. They would have like 2-3 tables, and they would come up to Jason. He had
So
no
flustered.
time for it. I lived for it. I would always love Jason's reaction. Then
we hired the models, Adam. We hired the model.
I know, but they would be like, I'm so overwhelmed. And I'm like, overwhelmed?
It's
you
like,
have
okay,
a 2-top,
with what?
a 4-top, and a 3-top. What are you overwhelmed by?
Give them some fucking water and a cocktail. They'll be fine. Just slow down.
But you're sitting there micromanaging him, and then you're walking around huffing and puffing, and you're so overwhelmed with everything. Then maybe if I were him, and this is why, guys, I cannot be on reality TV. If I were him and I was in that position, I would start micromanaging you. I'd be like, oh, is everything okay? What's wrong? You seem like you're a little flustered. No, you're not? Well, you're puffing and puffing. What happened? And I would sit there and I would start, like, I would get in your head, and I would sit there and I would just like,
I mean, to me too, I don't know why he's so damn flustered. And I know we're coming back to this, but you know, he has a very capable second stew. He has someone to help. In fact, that second stew is doing more work than all of those stews put together. So I just,
which is funny.
Crazy. It is funny.
It's the dynamics are funny.
They're funny. They're funny. Well, Adam, I appreciate you because I don't know. I didn't know how we were going to get through this episode, so I'm glad we had a lot to talk about. But I do want to look forward to next week, because did you see the preview for next week?
Yeah.
It looks like more. Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up. Adam had to bring this up. Yes, I agree with Adam. Sorry, Jason. That is okay. You can agree with Adam. He's usually, I want to say like 70% of the time, Adam is right. But the very, very few important things I'm usually right about. Just want to throw that out there. Okay. Now, next week we have more Kyle, who's kind of going crazy. And blaming Fraser for basically running to captain carry, which I think Fraser should have, because I think that was a very weird situation. So Kyle's declaring that he got away with whatever he got away with, yet we're carrying this on. We keep carrying it on. But I don't believe any kind of friction between Fraser and Kyle is actually real, because if you saw them on Watch What Happens Live, it was almost like Fraser was coaching Kyle on Watch What Happens Live. So Fraser's pissed. He's frustrated because he doesn't want to be that guy that everyone's blaming for someone getting fired again. If he was more secure, I don't think he would care. You know what I mean? And then we see Jess kind of like losing her shit next week. And I want to see really what that's about. Is everything kind of catching up to her? You know, you saw her with Fraser in the preview saying, you know, no cameras to the production. I'm like, girl, wait, what?
You're not Denise Richards. Oh my God. Oh my God.
You're not literally, Bravo. We're not doing that shit. Girl,
this is sick. Like, we're like, oh God, we spend too much time together. It's like,
I know, it's ridiculous. I don't know. It looks better than this episode. I hope it delivers. I hope we have some actual something to wrap us up this season. I'm ready for the season to be wrapped up. That's all I have to say.
I want to piggyback in, because I feel like sometimes I'm just being honest, and that might feel like it's coming off like harsh towards Fraser, because I don't want it to be. I'm just literally talking about, I don't know you. It's not like a personal whatever. I'm sure he's like a lovely person. I'm talking about what I'm watching, you know, and I'm sure I'll also deal with it.
I've only met him at BravoCon once, and he's very nice.
But when you put somebody in that sort of position where now it's being talked about, everybody's, you know, did it happen? Did it not? And he is the head of a department. He has an obligation, because now you're guilty by association of keeping your mouth shut if you don't bring it back. And so now I can't trust you, because the captain essentially at the end of the day is sitting there with eyes and ears on what's going on around the boat, what's happening with the boat, the mechanics of the boat, what's happening, just to make sure. There's so many things that can happen. So their plate is full. So when they're doing that, the heads of the departments, you're the eyes and ears. So you're watching everything for them. You know, you're keeping an eye, and they're trusting you to let them know what's going on behind the scenes. And if you fall flat on that, that could potentially lose him his job. He needs to, and you're filming a TV show. So then on top of that, he has to be messy as hell. And Kyle, who gives a shit? You kept your job, and you also laughed about getting away with it.
Yeah, seriously. Breakaway 34, I want to say thank you so much for the super chat. We appreciate you. And guys, if you want to help us out, the best way to do it, we have 250 in the room, is just smash that like button. Hit that like button. It helps us out more than you know. I also quickly want to give a shout out to everyone who has left us a 5-star review and comment on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We appreciate it. Helps us out. Breakaway 34, thank you again for the super chat. Says, just because y'all great, love Below Deck Talk, love the show, and the daily Adam vids also always so great, keeps me up to date and in the know. Thank you. We appreciate it. So yeah, we'll end there on Below Deck, but I do want to say, if you guys have not checked out The Real Housewives of London, it's really good.
Can I ask a question real quick?
You're muted, or I can't hear you. One of the two.
I'm not muted.
Is it just me?
Yeah, I'm literally not muted. You've been trying to mute me my whole life, and it's not happening.
I can't hear you. Who can no one hear? Is it my ears?
Yeah, I'm not muted. So change your audio. You've been trying to silence me my whole life, and it's not happening now. Okay? What I was going to say is, while Jason sits there and switches up
okay, for some reason I can't hear anything.
If you guys, okay, he can't hear anything. But if you guys are not watching The Real Housewives of London, then you absolutely have to start watching The Real Housewives of London.
Guys, who can someone not hear us? Or
and
well, obviously someone can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes.
Why can't I hear anything?
Change your audio. The input. The input. This is why you guys. You don't just go to Hello Prenup. Get the prenup, because when they start pissing you off like this, you got to be protected. I can hear you. I got the audio. Where's Gelsey and her migraine? I need her to come back and take over this show. It ain't me. Wait, you can't hear. Okay.
I have nothing.
Okay.
I can't hear anything.
Okay. Well, guys, Real Housewives of London is technically out right now on Hey You. Jason talked about the whole VPN thing. Definitely go check it out. And if you guys are not watching Below Deck, well, then get with the program. So many things are coming out for the rest of the year. We have BravoCon, a lot of fun trips, especially with our new sponsors, Hello Prenup. And I think that it's going to be an amazing time. I absolutely cannot wait. And I also feel like, really, truly, at the end of the day, it's going to be so fun to watch Jason and Gelsey and everybody else have to deal with the people like the same way that I have to deal with them, because you forget what you say when you start talking shit on these videos, because you do so many. And then all of a sudden you see them in person and you're like, oh my God. And then they just tell you, oh, remember when you said this? And then you're less excited.
Nothing.
No? Okay. So bye, guys. Don't forget to smash the like button, show some love, and get ready, because next week, Gelsey is going to be back, and Jason just lost me. So I'm retiring after today. Don't forget, we have all of these other videos, and we will be posting it on the podcast. If you're watching on like the replay crew, then make sure that you comment and let us know where you're watching from. If you're listening on the podcast, then make sure you leave us a 5-star review. Love you guys.